All right, so this is now recording. Let me make some introductions and we'll do a little bit of, hopefully Alita will get her. Alita, can you hear us okay? And you'll be able to speak and respond to questions okay? Let us know when you're ready.
Yes, I'm in the office still, so yeah, I can hear you though.
All right, okay, then let's get started. Welcome. So first, let me say welcome to everyone who's attending. This is the Los Angeles Valley College chapter candidate online forums for these May 2022 elections for the 1521A. Let me introduce myself. My name is Mark Berquist. I'm currently serving as the Elections Committee Chairperson. Also with us today is our timekeeper, who is Vazrik. Vazrik, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. My name is Vazrik. I'm one of the election committee member, and I am going to keep the time for today's session.
Thank you, Vazrik. Let's also give our candidates a moment to introduce themselves. I want to welcome Chad Bauer, who is currently running for chapter chair at Los Angeles Valley College. And Chad, go ahead and introduce yourself. Say hello.
Hi, my name is Chad Bauer. Nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Chad. I'd also like to introduce our candidate for chapter delegate, Alita Campbell. Alita, go ahead and say hi, please.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for having me, and I'm excited to be part.
Thank you both. Thank you both for being willing to serve our members. All right, so we've made introductions. Just a reminder that we're going to go through a series of questions for both candidates. Vazrik's going to be our timekeeper. Candidates will have 2 minutes to answer the questions, and then Vazrik will hold up the card. Vazrik, could you hold up the card again so that Alita can see it? So when the 2 minutes are over, he'll hold up the time card. I'm going to count 10 seconds, and then if a candidate exceeds that, I have to mute the candidate so we can stay on time. So thank you for your cooperation with that. Again, welcome to our candidates. Welcome to our members who are attending. Let's get started. So I believe, Vazrik, you're going to start, I think, this section?
Yes.
Okay, Vazrik, please go ahead and start.
Sure. So we are going to start with you, Chad. So the job description of chapter chair duties. You may also find the duties in the Constitution of the Guild website. The chapter chair is elected to represent their worksite members at executive board meetings and at the worksite. Duties include, but are not limited to, the following: reporting on district-wide and worksite meetings to the membership, to the executive board of the LABC chapter and the Guild executive board of the 1521A. Scheduling regular consultations with the worksite president to discuss current concern and issues, and represent and/or appoints members to sit on worksite shared governance, hiring, and selection committees, and requests and reviews written reports from attendees on those committees. Working to resolve members' complaints, referring grievances or possible grievances to the worksite grievance rep. Consulting with the worksite grievance rep, grievance secretary, worksite president, or executive director on contract inquiries to ensure the contract is being interpreted accurately. The chapter chair also serves as the backup of workplace grievance representative if the representative is absent, or if there is no grievance rep. Additional duties of the chapter chair are listed in the Constitution of the AFD College Staff Guild of Los Angeles, Local 1521A. So, Chad, and now I'm going to ask you questions. As Mark already mentioned, for each question, you will have 2 minutes to respond. First question: what is your vision for a strong union? And how will you build a stronger AFD 1521 chapter? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you for the question. It's a good question. The way I envision a strong union is communication and unity between all of its members. Where do I see that vision transpiring into the future with our current unit? Open communication. It's something that I strongly advise everybody on campus to know who your representatives are, know who your fellow classified are. It's one thing if you're in an office and you know who people are, but outside of that office, once you hit that door, kind of, unless you work next door to another office, you kind of lose that open communication. I would like to start opening those lines of communication between different offices, between different buildings, where if you're walking by somebody, you know if they're a classified member because you see them, you talk to them, you correspond with them, rather than just a name in an email. One thing I know that was a big headache during COVID was you email left and right, but you don't really know who you're emailing them unless you know them pre-COVID. And coming back to campus, we haven't really made that initiative to get out of the comfort zone of our office and meet our fellow classified. I would definitely like to see, my vision of a stronger union for our campus is open line of communication between our members. When we have our chapter meeting, I would like to see more in-depth detail, conversation, more of a meet and greet between our members, as well as take care of the necessary business, president's consultation, committees, reports, etc. Thank you for your question.
Sure, thank you. So the next question is, what do you tell our members who are concerned about current rates of inflation and receiving the COLA increase?
One thing I start off with the question, where's my COLA? When will I get COLA? My first response is, I'm in the same boat as you are. And we have to understand that COLA is not a raise. COLA is not something that we get as a reward. It's to help accommodate with the rising economy. So if we wanted to accept COLA right this minute, it would be essentially admitting defeat of negotiations. I wish we could get our COLA right now. I wish we get it tomorrow. I wish we got it yesterday. The reality is, when the district wants to use it as a weapon, as we're going to give you COLA as a raise. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't agree with that. COLA is not a raise. So what I've been sharing with people that ask me about COLA is, if we accepted it now, that's all district would want to get. So we do need to be a little bit patient on it. I know it's been a while. We are promised it. But financially, we're looking for a larger gain than just COLA. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. And the last question for you, Chad, is how do you plan to fulfill your role if you are elected chapter chair?
Good question. If elected as chapter chair, how do I plan on fulfilling my role? As I mentioned earlier, there's that boundary at the door. I want to break that boundary. I want to get out there to different offices and annoy people. And just annoy them like, hey, I am who I am. I represent you. Come with me and let's meet your buddy next to you. Let's go to the office next door and say hello. The biggest way I see fulfilling my role as a chapter chair is opening that line of communication and helping others open that line of communication with others as well. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. So thank you, Chad, for your responses. Now I'm gonna hand over to Mark for next section. Thank you.
Thank you, Vazrik. Thank you, Chad. Thank you to our candidate, Chad Bauer, for those questions, answering those questions. I'm now going to read the duties for chapter delegate. The duties of a chapter delegate. Delegates and alternate delegates represent their worksite members at executive board meetings and at the worksite. Duties include, but are not limited to, the following: to represent members at the worksite through direction of the chapter chair, to develop awareness of the AFT Staff Guild on the worksite and develop rapport with worksite colleagues and administration, to plan, organize, and assist the chapter chair with executive board and chapter membership meetings, to understand the staff guild constitution and bylaws, policies, and procedures, to participate in the recruitment of new members and members to the worksite executive board, to build representative structure and assist in a worksite communication structure, to attend consultation meetings with the worksite president to discuss current concerns and issues, to represent the staff guild per chapter chair appointment on worksite committees, to consult with the worksite grievance representative, grievance secretary, president, and/or executive director on contract inquiries to ensure the contract is being interpreted accurately, to assist guild members with inquiries, and to serve as a backup to the chapter chair for worksite grievance representative if the grievance rep is absent for any length of time, or if there is no appointed grievance representative, and when the chapter chair assigns grievance representative responsibilities. I will now turn to the current candidate for Los Angeles Valley College Chapter Delegate, Alita Campbell, for the next round of questions. So Alita, how do you plan to fulfill your role if you are elected as chapter delegate? You have 2 minutes to respond. Thank you.
If elected, thank you very much for the question. If elected, I would try my best to work hand in hand with the chapter chair and ensure that those goals that we've set for our campus and our staff guild are fulfilled to their fullest. I would want to really get out and meet folks, introduce myself to them, let them know what my goals are for this position, and then also asking them what is it that they most want to see done. I know, like the big issue that everybody's talking about is COLA, but to make sure that I'm understanding some of the other desires that members have to make our workplace better, and then making sure that I'm communicating that to the chapter chair.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
I've got another question for you. Do you feel our guild has made sufficient effort to be transparent with guild membership? How will you increase transparency to build trust and communication with members in our local? You have 2 minutes to reply. Thank you.
I think it's kind of difficult sometimes for them to be as transparent as they want to be with us, simply because negotiations are ongoing. So they oftentimes can't speak to members in full details, but I do think that they are being as transparent as they can be. And I do think that they work hard on behalf of the members to accomplish those goals that they've set out to accomplish. But it is a difficult balancing game, I believe. So I think you can just be as transparent as possible. You can keep reassuring members that is the case, that this is all that we can share with you at the moment. But we're trying our best. And I think you can show the steps that you're taking to assure members that things are going the way they expect them to go, and that you are being as transparent as possible. But there are just certain things that can't be discussed because of negotiations. So unfortunately, that's the balancing act that has to occur.
Thank you very much for those replies.
Mhm.
I've got another question for you. How do you plan to support the chapter chair if you are elected? Again, you have 2 minutes to reply. Thank you.
You're welcome. I plan to support the chapter chair in every aspect that's listed as part of the delegate's responsibility. Just being available, being willing to pitch in and to help out where needed. And unfortunately, one of the biggest things that I see currently as a problem is just the participation of members, that we need to work harder to get members back on board and feeling like they are part of this organization, and that we do have power to move our agenda forward and to accomplish those things that we see fit, that we're all working for, and that we all want and need for our workplace environment, and obviously again for COLA. But it's just to hopefully reinvigorate our members. I think that's the biggest thing that I could do to help out the chapter chair, is to help grow our membership and to help the existing members just feel like they're part, and to be excited that we have an opportunity to have a bargaining group that will work on our behalf to get those things that we want and we need to have, you know, a better working environment and to have equity in pay.
All right. Thank you, Lita. Thank you so much for your reply.
You're welcome.
I also want to note, I didn't mention it earlier, but I note that there is no candidate was nominated or was able to qualify for grievance rep through the nomination process, but that does not exclude a write-in option if the members at Los Angeles Valley College Chapter 1521A want to do a write-in for grievance rep. That's still an option. So that's noted. Okay, now we're going to turn it over to Vazrik, and Vazrik, you can take over on the next section. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Mark. So the next couple of the questions are for both of you, Chad and Aleta. So the first question, I'm going to start with Chad. So Chad, you're going to be the first person who's going to respond, and then after you, Aleta. So the question is, what prompted you to become an active member in the union? Chad, you have 2 minutes to respond.
Thank you. My father used to work for a company building airplanes. They weren't union. He would work day and night. A lot of times we wouldn't see him in the daytime just because the boss called him last minute and said, you need to work a double shift. He had no protection. I've worked jobs digging trenches, no protection, non-union. When I started working at Valley and seeing how much that the union can say, hey, this is how much you're going to get paid, it's going to stay that way. These are the guidelines of how you can be punished for doing something wrong. There's steps. This is the way that your administrators have to treat you. It's in writing. What's not to like about union? Monthly payments of dues, pennies compared to the protection that the union provides. Pennies compared to the benefits that the union negotiates. Union is strong. Union is as strong as its members. And we are a very strong union when it comes to our members because we have personalities for days. We might not always agree between personalities, but at the same time, we're still all wearing the blue. So I might have gotten a little bit off track on the question exactly, but I'm a strong believer in this union. I'm a strong believer in unions. When unions work, they work hard. And there's nobody that works harder than Los Angeles Community College District's classified staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. So same question for you, Aleta. What prompted you to become an active member in the union? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Thank you, Vazrik. What prompted me to be an active member in the union is just kind of like Chad. It was like he was kind of saying verbatim what happened in my life. My dad also worked in the aeronautic field, actually in space for Rockwell. But anyway, long story short, was part of a union. So I was growing up seeing my parent be part of a union. And then he also worked for some places that didn't have union and saw the disparities there. When I began working in higher education, I used to be a faculty member and was one of those freeway flyers going from campus to campus, but still part of a union. As a faculty member, you don't encounter the same types of problems that you do as a classified person. So now as a classified person, I see the huge disparities there are between how classified are treated versus how faculty are treated. And so, you know, just here in the office, on campus, and I've worked at a different campus. I worked at Pierce before here. And so, you always have these conversations amongst yourselves as classified as, why is this happening, et cetera. And so that was a conversation that was ongoing whenever I would talk to other classified. And then I was always wondering, like, what can we do about it? I'm part of the union, but it didn't ever seem like I had any active role in helping to make change. So then when the delegate position became open here, I was approached and I kind of jumped at the chance because then I felt that that was how I could make an impact. So that was what prompted me to become active, is just seeing the disparities and then, being offered an opportunity. And so I said, yes, I will do it. And hopefully we can work together to make some positive change.
Thank you. Thank you for the response. Next question. I'm gonna start with Aleta again. So the question is, our guild has recently gone through a contentious time. What are your goals for the local in the next few years? You have 2 minutes to respond.
For our local guild in the next few years?
Yes.
As I stated in one of the previous answers, I just think that there's like an inertia that's going on right now. We need to reinvigorate our members. And I think that's the best thing that we can do. I think that's probably one of the most important things that we can do straight off the bat is to go around, introduce ourselves, talk to members, find out what they need, what they want, what's most pressing in their lives, in their workplace environment, and then try to bring those as agenda items to the meeting so that we can address them and start making change. Because I think that people are just disappointed. They don't feel like, yes, they're, a dues paying member. They may or may not participate in meetings or other committees, but it's like whatever work that they personally put in or whatever work they see other more active members do, it doesn't seem like those things come to fruition. And so I think, a goal is to just work harder, be more transparent, and to try to make us a cohesive unit again. That's the biggest thing that I see as a new active member. I mean, I've been a member since I, became full-time, but as an active member, what I see most often is just that people are disappointed. So they don't participate because they think there's not going to be a positive outcome.
Thank you. Chad, same question for you. What are your, sorry about that. Our guild has recently gone through a contentious time. What are your goals for the local in the next few years? You have 2 minutes.
Thank you. As I said earlier, one of my goals is open up that line of communication between our members. I'd also like to see the communication open up, not just member to member on campus, but as well as other campuses. Know what our brothers and sisters are doing at Trade Tech, at Pierce, at ELAC, and the other campuses I haven't mentioned. Not trying to forget anybody. I can just speak from experience. I know Classified Day at City College is a big event. I would love to see something like that here on our campus where our administration says, hey, we appreciate all that our classified have done. Friday afternoon, take an hour off because we understand you're going to a picnic with other classified. I would love to see our union just meld together with all of its members, and kind of touching on what Lita said was that getting activity from all of its members. I think that is a key faucet that we need. And right now that faucet is closed. We need to open it up. We need to get people active, get people informed, and get incentivized to start attending chapter meetings, start volunteering for committees, start volunteering as delegates. So definitely would like to see, a goal would definitely be to get that open line of communication. I know it's a dying horse I keep on beating, bringing it up over and over and over. So I do apologize about that, but opening up that communication between everybody is definitely something that I feel passionate about. one of my goals to make the union stronger is newsletter, is open emails outside of district emails. And I saw that time, so thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chad. And the last question, I'm gonna start with Chad again. What are your views on how the district has been handling their vaccine policy and other mandates? Chad, you have 2 minutes to respond.
Hypocritical.
Oh,
I know that's very blunt. But for the longest time, they were pushing, the district has pushed. We follow the science, we follow the Los Angeles Health Department, OSHA, et cetera. Okay, if the state's doing it, if the nation's doing it, counties or the districts following suit. I would like to say that my personal beliefs on vaccinations, masking don't play a role in my running as a chapter chair. Because at the end of the day, it's everybody's personality, everybody's own personal opinion. My opinion might not be the same as my brother or my sister, but at the end of the day, we're still brother and sister, regardless of our differences of opinion. And I believe when we can sit down and actually talk about our differences and not come to blows, come to arguments, come to storming off from conversations, it shows a maturity and a strength of a union of conversation, of differences of opinion. We're not robots, we're not programmed the same, and that's what makes us unique. It's what makes us strong because it gives us so many different perspectives of opinion. So you asked the question, what are my beliefs on how the district has been handling it? Hypocritical. They follow the science, okay. The science, as of a month ago, says we no longer need to wear masks indoors. We follow the same guideline, or sorry, they've, for the most part, been following the same guidelines as other companies, other school districts. Other school districts are taking them off. We have not. So very hypocritical, and I'll stop that with the time. Thank you.
thank you, Chad. Aleta, same question for you. What are your views on how the district has been handling their vaccine policy and other mandates? You have 2 minutes to respond.
Yeah, the vaccine policy, I think is relatively fair. I just believe that, as Chad was mentioning, they're not, staying on message as far as what they initially stated they would do is that they would follow the science and they would follow, state, county, what is it, state, county, and any whatever local, guidelines that there are. But now, like you said, they are still requiring us to test often if we have not been vaccinated, to check in all the time, and to wear masks indoors when those guidelines have been dropped by federal and other official organizations. So I think they need to get up to speed and to be current with what the science is saying. So I'm kind of on the same wavelength as Chad is with that, whereas they just need to be consistent. If they're going to follow the science, then we should be doing what the science says we are able to now do, which is to remove our masks.
Thank you. So thank you both for your responses to the questions. So now I'm going to hand it over the conversation to Mark for next section. Mark.
Thank you to our candidates, and thank you, Basric. We're now coming towards the conclusions. We're now going to have a period for candidates' personal closing remarks. For these remarks, you'll each have 3 minutes to make, up to 3 minutes to make your personal statement. Let's start with Aleta to make your personal closing statement. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Hello again. My name is Alita Campbell. I'm working here in the SSD office at Valley College and have done since fall of 2019. Prior to that, I was working at Pierce in admissions and records. I started there as a provisional, as an A&R assistant, and just worked there in that capacity for some time. Again, I'll state that that's where I started to really notice the disparities between how faculty were treated and how classified are treated. And at that point, being just provisional didn't really have any power to change. But listening to coworkers and talking with coworkers and finding that a lot of people, a lot of classified folks were unhappy with the way the workplace situations were. So wanting to get involved, not finding a means to do that at that point. But luckily I was hired full-time here and given the opportunity to step up and fill a vacant delegate position. And hopefully I can continue to do that if I'm elected as the delegate going forward for the next 3 years. I would work diligently to move those issues forward that we feel that our members feel are most important to us. Pay equity, equity as far as possibly moving towards that 4-day work week, which I think is really really nice and important to have a more work-life balance. I think that we could have more equity as far as being able to work from home also. So those would be some of the things that I would like to see, at the top of our agenda, and things that I would work towards, seeing a positive outcome for. And of course, working with the chapter chair to move any agenda items that he or she may have going forward.
Alita, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
We're now going to turn to our other candidate, Chad Bauer. Chad, you have this is your moment to make a personal candidate statement. You have 3 minutes. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. So again, my name is Chad Bauer. I'm running for the AFT College Staff Guild Local 1521A, Los Angeles Valley College Chapter Chair. I, like many of my fellow monarchs, love my job. In the past, I have worked jobs I dreaded getting out of bed, being a slave for the dollar, where I felt no self-worth. Jobs that required half of my paycheck for benefits for myself, my family that we absolutely needed. A job where my coworkers had that same face I had in the mirror of just loss and despair. That ended when I started working at Valley College. My first day started with me being taken from office to office by a coworker introduced to me to fellow members of Valley College, and ended with a tour dropping me off at the chapter chair's office. I didn't feel like a lost stranger who wandered into a college campus, but I felt like a lost family member returning home to all the welcoming smiles and greetings. Over the last couple of years, I have seen that light at Valley College dimmer. As chapter chair, I want to bring that light back and brighter than it ever was. My fellow union brethren, we have weathered the storm of COVID and came out stronger than we were. Now I ask of all of you, one last thing before I say thank you for now. I ask you to help me make Valley College the college of the Valley. So thank you for now.
Thank you, Chad. And that concludes our candidate statements and the question and reply section. I'm going to make some concluding remarks. I also want to note again for our members, or for the members at Los Angeles Valley College Chapter 1521A, that there is the option for write-ins for, I believe Valley gets more than one chapter delegate to the executive board, so another write-in is possible. And also there's no official candidate recognized for grievance rep, but a write-in is also possible. So I think that's worth reminding and remarking upon. This concludes our forum for the Los Angeles Valley College chapter of the 1521A College Staff Guild for these executive elections. Please be alert for the upcoming AFT National Delegate Forums, which will also be held this month. Because the AFT National Delegates will be elected from across our chapters, those recorded statements will be posted on the same day for viewing across our membership of the 1521A. The AFT delegates will be presenting all of us of the 1521A at the National AFT Convention held in Boston, Massachusetts this year. An announcement will be made by email and on the Guild website once the AFT delegate statements to the membership have been recorded for your viewing. Ballots for this election cycle will be mailed on Tuesday, May 10th by AAA, the American Arbitration Association, which has handled our elections in the past and again for this election cycle. All member ballots must be received by 9 a.m. May 31st, 2022 in order to be counted later the same day. The Elections Committee encourages our fellow Guild members to mail your ballots promptly so they may be counted. I want to thank the Election Committee members, Vasric, Bertha Lopez, who unfortunately could not be with us today for this forum, our candidates, Chad and Alita, and you, our fellow Guild members, who will be watching now or later for this recorded broadcast, for your time and attention. On behalf of the May 2022 Election Committee, we wish you a delightful afternoon. Remember, you are the union. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.